In this video, we're putting the Blues truck back together with an Interstate McBee rebuild kit. We're also going to be trying out our Milwaukee Mighty Mouse half-inch impact on some mains, seeing how it handles those. Going to be finding a few weird things. Also going to be discussing the Interstate McBee kit. Some good things, some bad things, and seeing if we can start this engine. So back at it here, folks. Got the liners out after doing liner protrusion. Got all 6 liner seals now. Got our filler bands. Of course, what you gotta put some oil on, coat them in oil. These are marked. Coolant, middle, oil. Usually try to line them up. Just like the cat ones, also label that, except cat's usually coolant, middle, oil. Spelled out completely. And I try to always line them up as far as they go. This one, for some reason, they printed the coolant part inboard on the seal. No matter how many times, when the seal was off, I could roll it and it wouldn't matter, it was still inboard. So minor annoyance, but it won't affect the operation, obviously. So obviously this is the bottom of the liner and the top. Oil, it's in contact with oil on the bottom. Middle is good for both, and then coolant is here on the liner. So yeah, we are ready to put them in. So yeah, putting them in final here. And I'd already done liner protrusion with them in dry. And I don't recall 100% if in the previous video I had done that or not. Liner protrusion was good. All pretty much 4s and 5,000s. And we had cut number 2 and number 5. Number 6 had been previously cut. And I'd already put 6, 5, 4 is already in. So I'm doing 3 here. We are using this press bar style, which I must say I much prefer over the screw type one, where you have to screw it in and then use a drill to press the liner in. Although this one is more expensive, it is kind of a pain. I believe Monaco's selling these now, although this one I have is a Ferrum branded one. When I bought it, Monaco wasn't making one, unfortunately. So, doing our filler bands here. You can see that gigantic Q-tip, basically. It's a tire. It's a tire, I'm not sure what you'd say, tire lube applicator. It's basically a giant Q-tip. And it's got liner, soap, basically tire mounting compound for the lower seals, and then you coat the filler band here with oil. That's what I'm doing right before installing them. And yeah, I'm just doing, you don't really have to put liners in any order. I was going from back to front, but you could do it in really any order. You don't have to worry about the crank either. The crank does not get in the way of the liners. But I was just doing it from back to front here. And I'm going to recheck liner protrusion after I did this. Now you might say, well, didn't you already do it? Yes. However, with the seals on, it's good to know that the liner protrusion didn't change. Now, why would it change? Maybe there's something got under the liner, or something gets under the spacer plate, something like that. It's just, could I have not redone the liner protrusion? Yes, that would have been fine. But I wanted to make sure, it just helps me sleep better at night knowing that with the liners finally installed with the seals, that nothing changed. So, and you'll notice that when I'm doing this, after I torque them down, that I'm not writing anything down, because what I'm really doing is, since I had written them down during the preliminary one with the liners installed dry, there's really no reason to write them down again. All I was doing was verifying that the numbers didn't change, and they didn't. So that's good. And I've been using a drill a lot more than an impact lately for stuff like this. The drill, obviously, if it gets stuck, it's not going to hammer on the bolt. It just gently installs the bolts, and then I can torque them. You might notice that I missed one there on number 2 with the drill. But I found that out when I was torquing them down. And these only torqued to 40 foot-pounds, so not a big deal. Gonna get them torqued down, and I'm gonna do the world's quickest liner protrusion here. Now the customer did end up reusing the head bolts, but he did get a new spacer plate. You can see the spacer plate is in good condition. And his head bolts were actually in really good condition. There was no rust, no carbon, nothing weird on them, so wasn't really too concerned. We used to reuse the head bolts all the time, and then Cat started wanting you to replace them if there was any pitting or stretching, although I've never seen a stretched cat head bolt. It is possible, though. Now, Cat does have their newer procedure for doing the head bolt torquing, where you torque turn it and loosen it and torque it again. And I didn't do that. I did the original one, which for some reason was fine for 50 years. And then all of a sudden they want you to torque turn this nonsense. But yeah, so obviously we're not doing that right now. I'm just getting the liner protrusion bolts out. But just saying that, yeah, I'm still doing the old 330 torque on the head bolts when I install the head. I'm not sure why Cat changed it, but it sounds like a total pain in the butt. According to John Goldsmith, yeah, it is a pain in the butt. So I'm going to get all these liner protrusion bolts out here, and then we're going to get on to doing the main bearings, which I hadn't done yet. Well, the moment we've all been waiting for. Yeah, the new Milwaukee here, I haven't done mains with it yet, so I was interested to see if it would do them. Let's find out. Great. It's definitely spinning them easier than the other one did. Always amazes me how much dirt falls when you're doing the mains. Even though this truck's shaking and rattling and going over bumps all the time. But yeah, it's zipping them off really easy. I bet 3/4 air gun's not take them off that easy. I've still got my torque multiplier just in case. Now, normally when I do a rebuild, I reseal these plugs here, but I noticed they're full of silicone, so I'm not gonna, just gonna leave these up. So we're gonna leave 1, 4, and 7 in. I don't need these covered up anymore. Yeah, yuck. Nothing worse than main oil. Dripping all over me. This is going well. All loosened up. So yeah, super impressed here. It took off all the main bolts without struggling. And I'm only using the non-forged battery. Apparently that battery makes it hit even harder, which is quite impressive. The battery does shake quite a bit, but the mounting flange where the battery sits is actually jiggles in the gun. I believe that's a feature, not a bug. Because if it was rigid, I think it would wear out the connections faster, so I believe it's supposed to shake like that, but I could be wrong. So we got our Interstate McBee mains here. They are made in China, which I'm not sure where Cat makes their mains, but they are updated part number for the old ones, both standard sizes. So that's good. At least the standard sizes matching up is good as far as part numbers go. And yeah, they all came out of they had the right amount of mains. Nothing wrong with the mains. Yeah, made in China right there. Nothing wrong as far as the mains went as far as inspecting the new ones. There were nothing, which I used to find Cat mains and rods sometimes that would have big nicks in them from whenever they were produced. None of these had that, and it's been a while since I've seen a Cat one with that, but just something to look at. It's actually been several years since I've seen a bad Cat one, but pulled off number 4, and I was noticing what the heck is going on with the tab here. It's kind of crushed or scratched or gouged. Weird. You don't usually look at the uppers and see that. I wonder if that one was tough to put in for the guy and whoever did it previously. From everything I can tell, this had been in frame before. I'm guessing just once, but torque turned him fine, as you can see. And yeah, here's what the upper looked like. It rolled out fine, but this was not in good shape. It's actually hit, looks like by a small screwdriver or something. Look at the oil holes. Pushed in, most likely with a very small screwdriver. He hit them in, I'm guessing, whoever did this. I'm saying he. Of course, I guess it could have been a woman, but unlikely. And yeah, they really scored the heck out of those oil feeds. Not good. Yeah, even though I'd already done 4 of the mains, just kind of showing you here that this little impact, it hits hard. It's very impressive. I didn't think I'd ever have something that would do these mains. After doing them for so long with a 3/4 air, this gun is very impressive. Like I said, I'm not even using the forged battery, which apparently will give you about another 100 foot-pounds, which is pretty impressive. I guess forged batteries charge and faster as well and are lighter, but I don't know. The batteries are quite expensive. Just rotating around. Make sure nothing's weird, nothing's binding up. I do that after every main that I torque. Of course, you want to do that because if something is wrong and the crank's all of a sudden hard to turn, it'd be easy to find out. Got to give it to these Sunex sockets too. They're taking quite a beating, but yeah, I've had them for a long time, never had a problem with them. If you're in the market for a new impact, I would give this one a glowing recommendation. It's not even that expensive. I paid $238 for it. If you guys made it this far, I think it's time for a little destruction of the week. This week's destruction link comes from Pavel, and he said this was off of a Baodun Weiche turbo. Apparently, I'm guessing it's a Chinese brand. Never heard of them before, but yeah, as you can see, this turbo failed pretty bad. Almost looks like it's just a rock now. The compressor housing there, turbine housing, not too good. Thanks for the pictures. Let's get back to work. Now, folks, time for piston and connecting rod installation. So we're going to do 5 and 2 first. They're on bottom of the stroke. All the mains are done. Checked end play. And we've got these rods here. So anytime you do an aftermarket kit, they don't give you the rods usually. So he got these, I believe, from Highway Heavy Parts, but pulled them out here. They might be originally cat castings. There is no cat markings on them, though. What I did find weird, though, is the 2 that I pulled out of the box. So there's the box. 5, 5, 2, and 2. So I'm going to be doing 2 and 5, but I also pulled out. I already labeled 2 and 5. Just found that to be an interesting coincidence. So let's get them assembled here and put them in. Now here's something that you didn't hardly ever do at CAT was assemble pistons, because the cylinder pack rebuild kits always came fully assembled. I would usually pull the pistons out of the liners, but sometimes I didn't even do that. I would put them fully assembled in there. Of course, the problem would be if there's a problem with a ring or something. And did find once, well, I didn't found another shop that about 1/3 of an oil control ring was missing out of a CAT kit. So ever since then, yeah, always pull them out. But just kind of dry fitting everything here, making sure it's good to go. Now, this is tedious, and while it does save the customer money going with these aftermarket kits, it costs some more labor time because I have to assemble all of this stuff, which is tedious, as I said, and time-consuming. You've got 6 of these. I actually have to build each set together, get the rings lined up, get them assembled, get the rods, all that stuff assembled. So, yeah, it does save you part costs, but it does cost you extra labor to get them assembled. Of course, it doesn't take an hour to do each one, but
just adds time and complexity to the job. Now, is it better for me to assemble it or have the factory assemble it at Cat? I mean, I don't know. Who's putting them together at Cat? I don't know. I probably have more engine experience than them, but if that's all they do, are they better at it? Probably. Maybe. Not sure. But yeah, they have very clear instructions here. It'd be quite hard to mix them up anyways. I'm sure someone could do it, but it would be hard. So lubricating the wrist pin bore here. And it's 2-piece piston, obviously. It has an aluminum skirt. It's got the notches for the cooling jets. And we're going to be putting the new / reman, whatever, rod in. Everything fits well. Didn't have any problems with the fit or fitment of any of the parts here. And yeah, all the bearings, everything, part numbers lined up. So that was good. And the pistons are not directional, but the rods are. There's a correct orientation for the rod, even though it's a straight rod. But the pistons themselves, there's no right or left, really. So yeah, I'm always paranoid with these snap rings just because it would be bad if they didn't go in correctly. So I got them in there. Let's put in number 5 here. You can see someone's added a coolant line there for the oil cooler to the rear of the block. That's supposed to help with coolant flow. Not factory really, but probably doesn't hurt using our Monaco / Apex piston ring compressor here. Much better than the other one I was using. Everything's slid in fine here. And then yeah, we're just going to gently tap it with very soft dead blow here. It slid right in after a couple light taps. Good sign. Now, over the years, I've always been trying to figure out a good way to lift these heads, and I think I've finally found a pretty good way. Now, usually I'll put a bolt here to help level it, but getting it out of the crate, I've been using the rocker shaft, and I got these 2 heavy-duty lifting links. And basically, you just bolt the shaft on and put the 2 links across it, and you can pick that head up, although it will tilt a little bit. This is Interstate McBee kit, as you can see. It doesn't come with a thermostat. It does come with thermostat seals. They give you a lot of thermostat housing seals. They give you 2 sets each. I'm not sure if that was a mistake by them. All the seals that I needed, other than the liner seals, that they missed one. There is a problem, though, with them. Well, not really a problem, but I'll discuss that later.
All right, so head's ready to go on, guys. It's all prepped. I'm going to do the manifold after I get it on. I need to get it from over there to over here, though, before I can set it. And you're not really supposed to move the crane with the head on other than trolleying it. So I think I'm going to try my, well, I call it my bearing skateboard. It's actually a Milwaukee, not the same Milwaukee, I don't think, furniture dolly. And I looked up the specs. They're actually rated for 2,000 pounds. So I know I've never done that before, but I'm going to just wheel it over here, set the head on it, and wheel it over here. At least that's the plan.
So yeah, just getting our, well, I call it a bearing skateboard. It's really a furniture dolly that I put some extra planks on. I didn't realize it was rated for so much, though, and I've always had a hard time moving the heads around. I never really thought about just setting the head on the dolly there, but as you'll find out, this works out pretty good. Using our Bora-branded sawhorses, although not doing any sawing on them. Was concerned when I got them that the head would be too heavy for them, but they have not shown any sign of faltering with a cat head on them. They say they're rated for 3,600 pounds, which of course the head weighs about 600 pounds. But yeah, I've been pretty happy with them. I had the head sitting on it for 2 weeks last time and no problems. So yeah, we're just going to set it here. I've actually thought about getting rid of the chain fall here and going with a lever hoist, kind of the ratcheting style one. It would eliminate this chain, which I'm unsure. The chain fall, lever hoist, I don't know which one's better. But I already have the chain fall, so we're going to be sticking with that for the time being. But I don't know, maybe the lever hoist would be better. It would have less stuff getting in the way. But then again, the lever itself would be in the way. So I don't know, folks. Yeah, that worked real good. All right, folks, so here's a problem. The injector seals, but all the seals in general. Almost none of them have part numbers on them. Now, the big pink ones, I'm pretty sure are the injector ones. The center ones, though, I had a hard time figuring out which one it was. And then the lower ones, which are normally a bright one, The only ones that would fit the injector were these green ones, which I know Cat used to use green on some of the injectors, but there's no part numbers on them. So it's kind of infuriating putting the injector seals on from this aftermarket kit without part numbers on them.
Now we're getting ready to put the oil pan on here, and you know what? Kudos to Interstate McBee. They give you 2 oil pan gaskets, and they're one-piece gaskets. Maybe Cat could learn to include one-piece gaskets on the older engines. But they don't for some reason, and yeah, continue to annoy everyone. So anywho, gonna put one of these puppies on and get the oil pan on. Well, this is where we're at. Turbo's on. Got to redo the mounting here, get the brace on. The thermostat, you can see I painted the head on this side already. Haven't painted this side yet. Got our cam gear on here. Backlash was good. One thing I noticed that was different on this. See the seam here between the seal plate and the head? Usually there's a more, I'd say it's usually twice as big, the gap between the head and the front structure there. So I don't know if this head is cast with more forward area or if the front structure is leaning back. It's a little weird, but everything else was good. Let's get her put together.
Fired up real well. Yeah, it's for some reason they always don't fire, and then the one injector starts firing, they take off. I don't know why they're like that, but it's on the other side inspecting stuff. Everything went well. I pressure primed it with my oil tanker, which I've shown in several other videos. He had me replace a few of the coolant hoses. And yeah, overall it was a good job. Really the only holdup, other than the initial problem of finding it needed a rebuild and then the one liner seal kit missing, but everything else was good. The rebuild kit doesn't come with those block plugs, the dipstick plugs, which I was talking about, but these were already silicone in and they weren't leaking, so I didn't touch those. I got a new Cat oil filter on it. He did have the oil pump and the injectors were reused, but they seem to be in fine order. Ran real good. Now the previous mechanic had used the multi-piece Cat gasket on the oil pan, and it took me forever to get it off, but I kind of found a trick while trying to get it off that I'll have to do a future video on. Let's just say it uses a map gas torch and a scraper, but it worked pretty good. I'm glad I found out about it. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.